What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be the first in a series of videos about teaching English in Asia. And I'm going to be coming at it more from the perspective of teaching in China because that's where I'm going. But the process is very similar and it's really applicable no matter where you're going. But there are differences, and we will talk about those. The main thing that China wants from you is a FBI background check, a diploma, and a 120-hour TEFL certification. And those first two are really hard to get, and the reason is because you have to get those documents authenticated through the Chinese embassy, which is a complete nightmare. And it's definitely going to be the most miserable part of the whole process. I can guarantee it, especially if you're going in blind and you don't have a clue, because nobody else has a clue either. Nobody can help you. And so anyway, those we'll talk about in a different video. In today's video, I want to talk about the TEFL certification part of that. And there's a bunch of different things you could get. You could get a TEFL, a TESL, a TESOL, a couple of other ones, but they all kind of boil down to the same thing, which is a certification saying, hey, this guy took a course and he's now qualified to teach English overseas. And then those schools that you're going to teach at, they look at those in their hiring process, and it's a requirement actually. So you got to be a little bit careful because different countries may prefer one of these over the other or require one and not accept other ones. For instance, I think Canada only accepts TESL certifications. So just do a little bit of research and look into it. It's really not that hard to find. China accepts TEFL and TESOL, I know, because I have a friend who taught in China from America, and he taught on a TEFL certification, and another friend from Australia who taught in China, and he taught on a TESOL certification. So just do a little bit of research and figure that out. It's not that hard. Once you do that, then you're basically faced with two options. You can find a course to take online, or you can find one to go in person and take. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to both of these. The big advantage to the in-person, I think, is that you get practicum hours, and two, it just comes off more legitimate. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of someone hiring someone else, and you have two applicants, and let's say everything's equal, but one got theirs online and one was in person. I know I would prefer the one who got it in person, because online that always just comes off as more generic and less legitimate. And then those practicum hours are big. Now, there is a way to get that online and a little workaround, but I'll talk about that later. So one of the disadvantages to the in-person is that you actually have to be in person. And when I was looking up some of these courses, some of them were in Chicago, some of them were in Boston, like just really far away. You're going to have accommodations there. You're going to have to go into the class every day. And you're really just going to have to put your life on hold, which is it's not doable for a lot of people. I know for me, it wasn't really an option. So I decided to go with the online. And the online is going to be a lot cheaper. Like if you're in class, you're going to pay 4 to 5 times the amount minimum as the online courses cost. So it's a lot more expensive and a lot less practical to do the in-classroom. Also with the online, you can do it at your own leisure. So if you sign up for a course, 120-hour course, maybe they give you 6 months to complete it. So you can basically get on there whenever you want. Go really hard one weekend when you've got a lot of free time, and then don't even look at it for 2 weeks, and then you go really hard again. So the online is a lot more practical, but maybe it comes off less legitimate. And so once you decide which one you're going to take, then you've got to figure out, like, let's say you go with online. It's going to be hard. I know for me it was confusing and hard to find one that I thought was legitimate and that schools would recognize their certification. And so I just got on Google and started looking top 10 TEFL certification online websites or something like that. And so one that I started looking at was mytefl.com. And that's actually the one that I ended up going with. But I'll give you my reasons why I went with them. And then maybe when you're looking for which company you want to go with, you can keep these reasons in the back of your mind. So number one, they were on some of those top 10 lists. Number two, they're very reasonably priced. So for the 120-hour certification, it's $299 with a 30% discount. So it's like $210 for the certification. Number three, I get on their website, and their website is really, really professional, really clean. It's got reviews of people who have taken their course and are working overseas somewhere, and really just talking about the experience and how great it is and how great the certification is, and their job side of their website, like their job hunting side of the website. So my TEFL also has a part of their website where you can put in your application, tell them what country you want to be in, and they'll set you up with one of their partner schools overseas. And for me, that was really something that made them seem more legitimate in my mind. And I already had a school that was hiring me, so I didn't need that, but it's just something that made me rest assured, okay, this is kind of a legitimate site. This is something that's legit. And the final thing, the reason I ended up going with them is because of the practicum hours. Now, they don't offer it and you can't get it through them, but what they do allow you to do is do volunteering through a community center or uh, help out in a classroom in a high school or something, and get somebody from one of those organizations to email them and let them know that you did do some in-classroom hours, and then they'll give you those practicum hours. And this was big for me because my friend in Australia, when I was going through this process and trying to pick what I was going to do, he was like, "Oh, you got to do an in-person course because that's the only way you can get your practicum hours." And he said that was really big. Like, that's one of the big things that they look at on your certificate when these schools are looking at you to hire you, is if you have practicum hours or not. So when I found out through mytafel.com that I could do that with the online course, that really set them apart for me, and that's why I went with them. So once you've figured out, okay, I need a TEFL certification, okay, I'm going to do it online, then you've got to pick what course you're going to take, because they offer several different courses. There's a 40-hour, 60-hour, 80-hour, and 120-hour course. And I would say forget everything but the 120. Just take the 120, because that's what everybody requires in China. And I don't even know why these other options are there. The only thing I can think is that maybe you already have contact with a school over there and you ask them what their requirement is and they say 60-hour, and so you just take a 60-hour course and then you're good for that school. But the problem is, let's say after 6 months of your contract's running up and you're unhappy with that school and you want to apply for a different one. Well, they've kind of got you boxed in now, because other schools are going to require that 120-hour TEFL certification. And the difference in price is not much at all. So you're not really saving money by doing it that way. So forget all that other stuff. Do the 120-hour. It's much more legitimate. And make sure you get those practicum hours. So volunteer for someone, sit in somebody's class, get them to email and let them know that you did 12 hours of practicum hours, or something like that. Just make sure that happens, because that's a big part of it too. And once you do all that, you're good to go. You just take the course, and the course is pretty easy. I mean, if you put any effort into it, you're going to pass. It's not like it's any kind of difficult material. Like, I was putting minimum effort and I passed with a 91. So it's not hard. You're going to be fine there. But that's pretty much it with the TEFL side of it. It is kind of confusing if you're just thinking to yourself, "Oh, I want to go teach overseas. That seems cool. This is a thing." And then you first start looking into it, it is confusing. I know I was doing a lot of Googling, a lot of asking friends who teach over there, and even a school that's hiring me. Kept talking to them about what they needed. So that whole thing is kind of a headache, but you can weed through it. It's not that complicated. I hope this video helped you. But that's going to do it for the TEFL. Next time we'll talk about those other documents that you have to get. But thanks for watching, guys. God bless. I'll see you guys next time.